Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to day 2 of the Global Games Show here in Abu Dhabi. So first, to introduce myself, I am Georgina. I am your MC, your guide, your compare, your travel companion as we travel through this wonderful section of ideas and dreams and sharing everything together as we discover everything you can about the gaming industry, what's in the future, what's ahead, and how we're rewriting the rules. So let's get started. Please, if I can welcome to the stage to join me, we have for our panel discussion, AI and Future of Game Production, Navigating Emerging Trends and Technologies. So please welcome Omar Ghanem, the founder and chief executive officer of Games.gg. We also have Daniel Wang, co-founder and chief executive officer of Aethir. And we have Tung Nguyen-Khac, co-founder of VIZTA Digital. Please join me as I give a warm welcome to our panelists. So first of all, gentlemen, welcome to the second day, and welcome back, of course, some, of the games show. So I have a few questions prepared, and I'm just going to direct them as they come. So I think we'll, go ahead and start off first of all with perhaps Omar. So Games.gg analyzes large volumes of player behavior data. So how do you see AI transforming content recommendations, matchmaking, and personalized gaming experiences over the next 2 to 3 years, would you say?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Thought you wouldn't let me on stage again after my comments yesterday about the blockchain. I think AI allows us to do things that you could do, but it would take you an obscene amount of time to do manually otherwise. So what we personally do is we take a look at all these different data points, and we look at millions of different points, whether it's the games that you play, the games that you regularly play, the games that you play with your friends, the games that you spend money on, etc., etc. And then AI then allows us to personalize your experience based on recommendations that focus solely on your experiences.
Yes.
So not on what we think you'd like, not on what we want to sell to you, but more so based on your patterns and trends and behavior, what would you like to see? So it's something that, normally would take you ages to figure out. And, it's taken companies in the past decades to even sort out from an algorithm perspective. But today with AI, it's like anyone can just take a data set, an Excel sheet, slot it in, and suddenly get all the recommendations. So now I know what Omar likes, now I know what Dan likes, and exactly what I should be pushing towards them. So yeah, it's just fundamentally changed the game. And I think the faster you embrace it, the easier your life becomes, really, especially if you're building within the gaming space, which has all these data sets.
Of course. And I really like the idea that it's going to help create that more personalized experience in gaming. So fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Now, Daniel. Aethir powers distributed GPU and AI compute. So how will decentralized compute infrastructures impact how studios render worlds, train models, and optimize live AI systems?
I think that first off, the biggest concern is around scalability. As we get more and more complex, larger scale open worlds with kind of procedurally generated content, often done by AI, you need a ton of rendering and compute to power all this virtualization that's happening. So having a distributed, decentralized compute network allows scalability, optionality of choice. We're able to increase the efficiency of the utilization of compute from around the world while arbing costs from around the world, so it becomes cheaper to scale. And lastly, I think the type of innovation that you can see being driven because there's now edge services. You migrate some things into the cloud and then some things under the edge so that you can reduce that latency time so that the actual experience of each gamer in these immersive worlds, these large, massive rendered environments, gets progressively better. That's, I think, what we're on the cusp of seeing happen. And that's why we believe there's a huge bottleneck in both energy, power, land, and compute to be able to back all these experiences that people want to start consuming because of the new content and experiences that are available due to AI.
Okay, all about improving the experience so far is the theme that we have heard. So, Tung, I'm going to have a question for you. So, VIZTA Digital, it works closely with studios on AI tooling. Now, which part of the creative pipeline, like art, animation, writing, prototyping, is AI transforming the fastest today? Oh, we don't have a mic for it. Oh. Share and share alike on this stage.
Yes, we share. Yeah. So I think all what you mentioned. I think, for example, in the asset production and the pre-production, AI is helping enormously, and it's transforming actually the way we develop games. So today, I would say it's not, or a lot of people ask, will AI take over game development? I would say no, but it's definitely right now something like a co-pilot, which can help you and support you and makes your developing or producing output a lot faster. But it's not yet there where it replaces or substitutes the human creativity. So we are seeing this, for example, if people know Lovable, for example. So that's something what we want to build, the Lovable for games. And the idea is actually that you are able with these kind of tools that people that do not have, for example, engineering or development experience or background, that they are in a democratized way able then to produce games.
Okay, yeah, so it's all about, I guess, like making it equal, making it available to everyone, accessible.
Yeah.
And
there's one thing, for example, so in the development, you typically have the challenge of somebody like a vision keeper has an idea or a vision of a product, and you have developers. And how do you translate that? And in the past, a lot of projects have always struggled to find the right translation to bridge it from creative side to the production side. And now that you can shorten that, and you can more or less, for example, also put let's say the vision keeper or the product manager into a position that he's more or less engineering or developing the game just by pure prompt engineering.
Of course, yes.
Actually, I want to touch on
please.
this. I think he makes a really good point in that it's augmentation, right? It's enhancing what the actual creatives are able to do. Kind of in my previous experience at Riot, we even saw one of the prohibitive bottlenecks was the number of iterations and kind of feedback loops that you could do, and the amount of work needed each and every time the vision creator or the product manager is like, oh, let's tweak something. I want to rebalance something. I want new features developed. And then the entire team would have to change their roadmap and change the entire sprint to just, slot something in. That now becomes so much quicker that you can almost drive parallel work streams and then come out with multiple options for this vision creator to help choose and pick out of a lineup of what to end up going with. So I think it actually helps democratize the ability for creatives to ship quality content, because you're now removing this massive cost and time bottleneck that previously used to be there.
It streamlines that process, so to speak, and provides that improvement and enhanced experience, obviously, for not only developers but also for the end user at the end as well.
We are just at the beginning.
Yes, please. Yes. So coming back to you, Omar. As AI accelerates asset creation and prototyping, how does this change the publisher studio community dynamic in Web3 gaming?
I think the Web3 gaming community is a lot more receptive to change, just because obviously you've embraced that blockchain element that many have resisted. So therefore, AI is kind of just this natural next evolution. They make great points about how easy it becomes from a development standpoint, but I think even from an experience standpoint, like the options that you have in video games now are infinite, right? Because you're starting to see games where the villains react based on your actions in game, because there are so many different decisions, and whether you choose this door or that door, or you choose a pistol or a shotgun, like you start having experiences that otherwise would not be possible. And I think because of that, you're starting to see the community almost drawn a little bit more towards the optionality of it. I think maybe the main pushback is around creative, actually, if anything. So people tend to just empathize, and maybe rightfully so, with like the designers, the animators, the ones that put the effort into the art, and they don't want to see that art replaced. But I think if you really strip everything down, it's less about stripping away that human element and feel of art, and it's more about just what can we do with the art, right? And like how many iterations of the art can we have? And like you think about horror games, and it's like I might be scared of spiders, you might be scared of snakes. Like how can we get both into the game, and based on what you see or what you envision, like there are so many different options. So I think from a community standpoint, going back to your question, it's definitely a lot more embraced within the Web3 gaming ecosystem. I think people are a lot more open to the idea of AI in video games, and I think that will time as well change and expand into traditional gaming. You look at art creators, they get a lot of pushback because they're using AI generated voices, and it almost feels unfair because it's not the entire experience. It's not, it's not like it's two guys sitting in a studio using AI to do the whole thing. It's like just one aspect of the game, which is the voice lines or whatever, uses AI. So I think like anything in gaming, whether it's mobile, whether it's free to play, I mean, you mentioned Riot, like everyone thought League of Legends was going to die in like 2 weeks when they said it was going to be free to play. Today, League of Legends is arguably one of the biggest games in the world. So change takes time, and I think gamers tend to be the absolute worst when it comes to like pushing back on change, especially on social media. But if it's going to improve the experience, it's going to improve the experience.
Like you said, I think people naturally do tend to push back on change at the beginning with anything, with any kind of new technology or a tool, and especially one that comes into the aspect of creativity. Like people, does it hamper or does it enhance? And what we're talking about here is the potential for it to enhance. It streamlines other processes, allows the creativity to flow more, if you will. So then, Daniel, I have a question for you as well, please. So AI NPC behavior and procedural generation require massive real-time compute. So what innovations do you see making this scalable for mid-sized studios and not just AAA?
Yeah, I think this goes back to the point that Tung was saying. There's a lot of work involved in if you're an artist, like color matching, if you're a QA, like testing, and even like localization takes a lot of time and effort. And utilizing AI, you're able to scale and bring these services to market at much quicker pace and much cheaper cost, so that you have an opportunity to find that product market fit with your content. Now, specifically on, I think, some of the AI NPCs and kind of real-time interactions and procedurally generated content, because you're starting to get more tailored content for individuals, it resonates more with what each person personally prefers to experience. The problem is what we've seen in gaming is there's also this element of like, you can experience it personally, but there's a large community that wants to share that experience.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, there's this critical mass of like social aspects that you just need people to fill. And oftentimes, if the experience is so tailored to what you're looking for, maybe it's not the experience that somebody else wants to have. So then how do you fill that gap of feeling like there's a community that you're participating with others? And that's actually where like AI NPC starts coming in. It helps fill this empty space so that there is this critical mass of community that you feel like you're playing with, even if it is, NPCs, interactable characters. And it's getting better and better to the point that I don't want to say it replaces live players, but it can enhance the experience enough that people can tailor these content to your specific desires without relying on everyone else also wanting that exact same experience.
Okay, fantastic answer. So then I'm just going to move back to you, Tung. I have a question. I'm just trying to think which one I would like to ask. So probably we'll move maybe a little bit into perhaps the ethics, for example. So say like, what guardrails should studios adopt to ensure ethical, bias-aware and IP-compliant AI usage in game production? Because ethics does tend to come up a lot in the discussion of AI.
Yeah, that's a difficult one, and you can see it from various perspectives. I think at some point you need to respect the IP and be sure that, for example, you really don't, let's say, steal original IP, but it can help you also to be creative and to start thinking about something new. I think, at some point, we need to have some, let's say, governance and guidance in that space, but we also need to be aware that the revolution has started. You cannot stop it, and it's going to be like, compared maybe to Internet 1.0, when it came, and I think the storm is even heavier. So you have to go with it and kind of, do not block it, but see also where are the right frameworks, where are the right guidance parameters that give you, and where you still also make sure that, for example, from an ethical standpoint of view, you really keep it in a way that it's kind of fair and usable.
Yeah, I think it's about making sure that we're not putting the cart before the horse, if you will. As technology moves so fast, we have to make sure that obviously, we're keeping up with the ethical standpoints of it as well at the same time. So, Omar, moving back to you in that case, I would like to ask you, so many studios are shifting into AI-driven live ops to scale content and events, but what's the most exciting use case you've seen emerging within Web3 or competitive gaming ecosystems?
Just in general, or using AI?
AI-driven, yeah. To keep on topic.
Yeah, I think the optionality is probably my favorite thing. I mean, I grew up playing a lot more single player games that were story driven, and therefore I'm a lot more drawn towards different stories and dynamics, and it's easy to do things like the Telltale games maybe, where it's like just a yes or a no, right or a left. But I think when you start having games with a variety of options of like, if you're escaping a house, do you jump out of the window, do you open the door, do you break a wall? Like when you start giving that optionality to players, I think each experience then becomes so different, and you then start almost like comparing with your friends, right? Like how did your experience go? What was your ending? How did you do that? So I think that's what excites me personally the most. But obviously, I mean, you guys are talking about NPCs, and we're seeing like in a competitive realm, I guess you could say, like the bots are getting better for sure, right? Like you could very easily spot a bot in Fortnite or whatever, but now it's almost become this like trick where you have to look at the name, because sometimes it doesn't feel like a bot, and you have to actually verify that it is. So yeah, I think it's allowed us to enhance experiences in different ways. And the points being made earlier, I think as long as you regulate it, as long as you're not stealing someone's IP, as long as you're not, driving people out of their jobs and not creating new jobs potentially, like I think it then becomes a much better thing than it seems to most, right? It's not this like doomsday where it'll be all AI slop and all the games will be made by AI, and like, there will be no more passion or soul anymore. I think it's just about how much better can the experience be, how much more unique can the experience be, and how can I make it feel so much more immersive with all this, tooling around me now, whether it's procedurally generated, maps or better NPCs or whatever it is.
Exactly. I agree with that. It's all about making it more possible, because now you have a tool that allows you to just streamline everything and focus on how we can improve and expand even beyond our wildest dreams previously. Yes,
I actually wanted to comment. It's really interesting you brought up bots, because now that like there's AI bots that have gotten so good, it's almost impossible as a human, like for example, during esports tournaments, online tournaments, for human judges to tell. And now they're relying on AI to actually determine if this is a bot or not. and it's really simple, because there's like certain human behaviors that only humans interact. A simple thing would be like in League of Legends, you actually have to swipe to see the map and then come back to make a decision. But a bot sees all of it in vision all at once, and so it lacks this extra swipe time. And even if it builds in a delay because you're not physically on screen swiping, this AI will catch that you're a bot.
Yep.
But no human can catch that, because you can't actually tell if they're swiping or not on their side. So it's interesting that it becomes almost this arms race of AI is getting better, but then we need AI to almost regulate and catch.
Will AI be regulating the AI?
Yes.
We're out the story entirely. I think some people like to imagine the future like that. I'm sure some Hollywood studios will pick up on that idea. So then, yeah, Daniel, I'll stick with you for the next question. In that case, then, like, What challenges must be solved then for AI-driven games to deliver consistent performance across global regions, especially fast-growing markets like MENA?
I think I touched on it earlier.
You
It's
did a little bit, yes.
it's this ability to offload services to the edge and provide more real-time interactions. And I think in general, people have a higher and higher demand for the type of experiences they're consuming. And in order to have those experiences, you need a lot of cloud services, not, maybe out of Israel, not out of Amsterdam, not out of Munich data center. You need something local so that when you have, it's ping, latency in these games, it's more of a real-time experience, and you don't get this weird uncanny valley feeling when you're interacting with the game because of that inherent delay. And so through kind of distributed compute, you're able to better utilize local resources to improve this local experience. And it's specifically in regions like the Gulf Coast region. A lot of cities are quite far apart away. There's lots of land and sun available. You can actually create lots of localized data centers, small modular reactors, to provide services for local communities, and it drastically improves the overall latency experience and bandwidth experience for folks, so that when they do have this gaming experience and customizable content and real-time interactions, it's truly real-time rather than, because I'm here in Abu Dhabi, I need to wait 150 milliseconds to play some game.
I see what you mean, yes.
Actually, on the topic of making the experiences better, I think another thing that goes under the radar a little bit is localization. Because when you look at content, like it used to be this extensive thing where you had to like get teams that understand the language and localize it, or you'd use like a service from Google or Amazon. Like the LLMs are pretty good now, so you could essentially just deliver your game in as many languages, as many dialects as you want, and have it done instantly. And that, to some, I mean, we're all speaking English here on stage, and maybe it doesn't seem like a big deal, but there are certain, demographics that would only try your game if it was in Arabic, or would only play your game if it was in, Mandarin or whatever it is. And I think it opens the door for developers to reach a much wider audience, and it opens the door for gamers to actually try other experiences that maybe otherwise they wouldn't have tried because of that.
Perhaps we're regionally specific at a time. Yes, indeed. So then we're talking about, bringing it into the sort of the future of gaming, if you will. So then, Tung, I'm going to ask this question to you because it's more about like how can we adopt it? There's already a set process, if you will, when it comes to developing games. So for studios in emerging markets, what are the practical steps to adopt AI effectively without disrupting their current production cycle?
I think it's going to be kind of a transition or a change process, and where you need to adapt. So in the beginning, you try to use AI for the heavy lifting or for things where you kind of scale things up, and which are the easy parts, which are tasks that are repetitive and that you can automate. And at some point in time, then it's becoming your co-pilot. You lift it up, but I think it will never replace the human creativity at this point in time. I would not foresee that, because games have, I call it always, you need to have that kind of magic that can only a human create or bring together, and sometimes even the human beings cannot really analyze what was really the magic that came together. So because being at the right time, at the right place with the right concept, for example. Right now, I think for studios, especially also in developing regions, it's like you use it because it can really help you to speed up things, to make things faster, and focus on, let's say, the value creation of and that is creativity, because you then can delegate things to the AI, but really can focus on things that are kind of building the substance and the creativity, for example, and what makes a game really outstanding or different than, let's say, to a normal game.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Now, I don't want to be selfish and just keep these experts only for myself. So I want to maybe put it to the floor. If anyone has a question for one of our three experts that we have here, please raise your hand, the young sir and also ma'am, and we will get a microphone for you. Just uno momento. And we will be over with you shortly. So think about what you're going to ask. Just first of all, introduce who you are and also who the question is targeted to of our panel, okay? Here comes your mic, Youngsa. You're good.
Hello, my name is Omar Dipsi, and I would like to ask a question to Omar Ghanem.
Go ahead.
I like his website, but I've got a lot of questions about it. How can you use AI to enhance your website?
That's a good question. First of all, thank you for checking it out in the first place. Yeah, so I mean, you don't see it, but on the back end, what's happening is when you sign up and you start connecting your PlayStation account or your Steam account or whatever, we start pulling up data about the games you play. And fundamentally, what happens behind the scenes while you're just clicking around is we're looking at what are you looking for. And after give it a few hours, maybe a day, once we start getting to know you and who you are, you'll start seeing recommendations. So when you click on a game at the very bottom, it will say recommended games. And those games are actually just based on your experiences. And you'll start getting emails sometimes that are like, hey, we know you like Arc Raiders, maybe you want to try this game. And that is essentially how we use AI to improve that experience. Also, there's a little toggle button where you can press on it, and you can now actually use the platform in 5 different languages, I think. Arabic is not one of them, but we're bringing it soon. But that's also fundamentally mostly AI as well. So I guess to the point we were making earlier,
Yes.
it's not about forcing you to use AI, it's just about using AI to make your experience better.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for your question also. And I believe, ma'am, you also had a question. If you can just pass the microphone to the lovely lady in front. Thank you so much. There we are.
Hi, thank you for your speeches. It was very interesting to listen to you. My name is Eva, and I'm a project manager in video games studio, Sperasoft. And I had a question from project management standpoint accordingly. So what trends in AI you can recall for project management, for example, for project planning or progress tracking? The question to any of the speakers who can share
Okay,
any
in that
insights.
case,
Thank you.
then perhaps we'll just take like a small snapshot from everyone, if that's all right? Just in this
maybe
time
I
we
can
have.
take it. So I think AI and even the let's say existing LLMs, like I don't know, DeepSeek, ChatGPT, or even Gemini. I think Gemini is right now the leader in the back, leader of the brag. They can help you really to do fascinating things. Like writing your GDD or helping you to create it. Going deeper into that, and then out of that, developing a roadmap with the milestones, for example, and then also giving it attached timelines to that, and then kind of tracking your progress. And you can make it even your partner, for example, by saying, okay, this is what we have achieved, and maybe we have a delay of, I don't know, 10 days, a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and ask, hey, what is then the new calculation, or how many more days do I need, or maybe also what can I do to reduce maybe the expected timeline of development, so that it can help you in many facets. So and you don't even need to have specific AI models for that. You could build, for example, agentic models that help you to automate a couple of things. But even with a, let's say, simple LLM, it's already kind of giving you value to really increase productivity and make your product management a lot faster, and maybe then also focus more on the important things.
All right, guys. I'd love to carry on just talking and talking and talking and have these guys. I tell you what, our speakers will be around in the venue, so feel free to approach them with your questions. They will be around, but for now, sadly, our time is up. I wish how quickly it flew. I wish we could carry on talking all day, but for now, I really want you to join me as I thank our panel so much for coming and joining us on stage and all of their wonderful insights. Thank you so much, guys.